There is this really painful reality in the creative sector. Every single year, literally countless, brilliant artistic ideas just die on the vine. And why? Simply because they can't navigate that notoriously difficult beast we call European funding. If you've ever found yourself stuck chasing grants, completely overwhelmed by bureaucracy, wondering how on earth successful partnerships actually turn a vague idea into major international funding, well, you're in the exact right place. Today in this explainer, we're going to unpack a brilliant strategic blueprint. It shows exactly how two distinct organizations are building a high-impact pipeline to absolutely conquer that funding landscape. We're looking at a framework crafted for August 2026 through July 2027, mapping a direct journey from local artistic practice straight to European cooperation. It is, quite honestly, the ultimate solution to the funding puzzle.
Okay, let's dive right into our master plan for today. We'll kick things off with a macro view of the partnership in Section 1, then move into their thematic pillars in Section 2, and focus on their flagship project in Section 3. After that, we'll see how they build a consortium in Section 4, and finally zoom all the way down to a concrete 12-month execution timeline in Section 5.
So, Section 1, the perfect partnership match, uniting art and strategy. To understand why the strategy works so incredibly well, we've got to look at the players involved and why they desperately need each other.
Let's start with Project Factory. Think of them as the structural engineer of this whole partnership. Now, you might be asking, why do you need a structural engineer for an arts project? Well, because European grants, things like Erasmus Plus and Creative Europe, they are highly bureaucratic labyrinths. Project Factory brings this deep, highly specialized expertise in EU program intelligence. They act as that essential translator between a visionary creative idea and the rigid institutional requirements. They bring this unique model they call the PF Bridge to the table, handling everything from needs analysis to digital architecture and impact reporting. Basically, they build the concrete foundation so the art can actually stand up. And this perfectly illustrates the yin and yang of their synergy. While Project Factory provides the spine, the Healthy Childhood Foundation brings the heart. They provide the artistic excellence, the human connection, and the actual on-the-ground pedagogy through contemporary art, participatory workshops, and accessibility testing. Project Factory then takes that grassroots authenticity and translates it into scalable, artistically credible, and most importantly, highly fundable European project concepts. It's a perfect match. One provides the soul, the other builds the structure. Check out this joint vision for 2027. It shows exactly what happens when you combine that artistic authenticity with strategic framing. Let's really unpack this, because if you want to win grants, this is the exact anatomy of a winning vision statement. Notice the phrases inclusive education and responsible digital innovation. Right? Those are the absolute magic buzzwords European funders are prioritizing right now. It's not just doing art for art's sake, it's about using digital tools and inclusive practices to measurably strengthen human agency. That is exactly the kind of massive societal impact institutions actually want to write checks for.
Moving right along to Section 2, 3 strategic program pillars. Let's shift from the who to the what and see how they organize their complex portfolio to avoid total fragmentation.
Honestly, this strategy is an absolute masterclass in stopping that inevitable grant-chasing burnout. Instead of just firing off 6 completely disconnected proposals into the void, they've neatly grouped their project ideas into 3 coherent thematic families. You've got Pillar A, which is creative well-being, Pillar B, women and cultural leadership, and Pillar C, digital nature. This setup allows them to responsibly share research and methodologies across entirely different projects. For instance, Pillar A uses art journaling to build emotional resilience, Pillar B uses oral history for women's leadership, and Pillar C brilliantly connects kids to environmental awareness by mashing up technology and nature using Scratch and augmented reality. It creates this beautiful ecosystem where all the projects just feed into one another.
Okay, here is a highly counterintuitive rule that trips up so many creative organizations. You cannot start with the art. Their core funding principle establishes that you absolutely must start by defining the specific social or educational problem, your exact target group, and the intended change you want to make first. The artistic method, that's secondary. It's just the means to that end. Now, I know that flips the traditional artistic mindset completely upside down, but trust me, it is exactly what unlocks institutional money. It ensures the proposal matches those strict EU funding requirements by proving clear social or educational outcomes right out of the gate.
All right, Section 3, the flagship project, Art for Well? Let's see how this overarching strategy actually builds into a concrete first step with their top priority initiative.
This definition perfectly captures how they're scaling local creative practices into a highly structured European methodology. Art for Well is an Erasmus Plus flagship designed to upskill adult educators and community artists. Now, here's a massive insider tip for you. Notice the careful use of the word non-clinical creative well-being activities. Overpromising medical or clinical results when you're an arts organization is just a spectacularly fast way to get your grant rejected. By drawing this brilliant strategic boundary, they stay firmly inside their pedagogical lane and align perfectly with what Erasmus Plus actually wants to fund.
You know, funders absolutely love math because it translates to a measurable return on investment. And that is exactly what these concrete first cycle targets deliver. They aren't just saying, hey, we want to help people. No, they are committing to a very specific ripple effect. They're going to train 40 to 60 educators who will then go out and scale that knowledge to up to 180 adult participants. All of this is backed by publishing 20 open access activity resources and hosting 6 local multiplier events. By mapping out this rigorous math, they prove they know exactly what success looks like from day one, which just creates immense confidence for any funding body.
Moving to Section 4, building a European consortium using the PF Bridge methodology. Because obviously, you can't win major European funding alone. Let's look at the execution engine behind their transnational team.
Think of this PF Bridge process almost like a highly selective dating app for organizations. You're not just calling up your buddies in other countries because it's geographically convenient. You're picking partners strictly for their functional value. Step 1 demands defining the exact minimum required functions. If the project needs mental health expertise to safeguard their terminology, they go hunt for a clinical expert. If they need access to public spaces, they target a municipality. Every single potential partner goes through this rigorous scoring test on relevance, capacity, and target group access before they are ever even invited to a concept co-design meeting. On top of that, they use these 5 rigorous proposal decision gates to build what is basically an incredible risk-mitigating funnel. Just imagine spending weeks writing a massive proposal only to realize at Gate 4 that your delivery budget is a complete fantasy. This funnel forces them to kill doomed projects early, saving hundreds of hours of wasted labor. Gate 1 checks if the call genuinely fits the target group. Gate 2 demands hard evidence. If a project fails at Gate 3 because essential consortium functions aren't covered by ultra-reliable partners, boom, the process stops dead in its tracks. Absolutely nothing moves forward unless it is perfectly viable. 5. That is the magic minimum number of countries they are targeting to build this qualified consortium pool of 8 to 12 diverse organizations. And geographical diversity is absolutely massive for the EU. Funders want proof that an educational methodology works just as well in the neighborhoods of Italy as it does in the cultural centers of Poland. Targeting a minimum of 5 countries guarantees they have this robust, multidisciplinary European delivery network ready to deploy the very second a funding call drops. And finally, Section 5, the 12-month master plan from August 2026 to July 2027. Let's map out exactly how this blueprint will unfold chronologically over the next year. The aggressive speed of this timeline is honestly something to behold. They kick off in August with a simple strategic meeting to agree on the scope. By October and November, they're already deep into co-designing the RT4 Well concepts. December is fully dedicated to screening those functionally vital consortium partners we just talked about. This incredibly structured pacing takes them from a blank whiteboard all the way to submitting major European grants in just 8 months. And they don't lose that momentum. Instead of just sitting around twiddling their thumbs waiting for funding results, by May and June, they're already running a joint online pilot lab to test their methods and gather real-world evidence. Ultimately, success is defined by these hard metrics, which proves this isn't just nice theory. It is a highly disciplined engine for consistent delivery. They're aiming to complete 3 full concept notes and submit a minimum of 2 high-quality proposals. But honestly, the most audacious metric here is their insistence that 100% of those proposals pass all 5 internal decision gates. That means they enforce a strict zero-tolerance policy for sloppy, unprepared proposals. You kind of have to ask yourself, does your own organization operate with this level of ruthless accountability before sending an idea out the door? So, we've seen the blueprint. Step by step. We've seen how combining raw artistic vision with structural funding intelligence creates this incredibly powerful pipeline. Big funding doesn't just happen because you have a good heart. It comes from having an ironclad strategic framework. So the real question I want to leave you with today is this. How might your own strategic partnerships benefit from such a fiercely structured approach? Could applying decision gates and functional partner scoring finally transform your next big idea into a funded reality? Are you ready to stop just dreaming about high-impact European cooperation and actually start engineering it?